Throughout this program, I'm going to encourage you to not just understand, but to do. If you learn mindset and then use it, it will make a world of difference for your company, for your employees, and for you. You are going to have a culture in your company and your work group. The only question is if it's going to be a culture that was envisioned, built, and protected, or if it's going to be a culture that evolves randomly. The best cultures never randomly evolve. Instead, they are envisioned, systematically shaped, and continuously maintained via resolute, far-sighted leaders. Now we come to the third level of responsiveness that constitutes what mindset considers to be operational nirvana. And this is where magic happens. At this third level of responsiveness, once a decision is made by the organization to go forward with an event or a project, all departments within the company align themselves with the goal of making it phenomenal. At this third level of responsiveness, not only does the person or group who is leading the process get cooperation from all departments within the organization, each department strives to make the event even better than the originator envisioned. Think about that. A guy who had spent a total of 2 hours in the company knew more about the history of the company than the collective brain pool of 28 supervisors. This is an all too common, huge mistake of leadership. I want you to get this seared into your brain. It is impossible to be proud of something about which you know little or nothing. This is not a complicated mindset to understand, but it is one that many leaders seem to miss. Failing to do good PR may not actually do harm. It's just that you're standing at the plate with the bat on your shoulder when a fat pitch sails right down the middle and you simply fail to take a swing. Be better than that. Smash the ball out of the park. Just a quick reminder, the fish for compliments mindset that I covered earlier can help you to be ready and able to be a better PR agent. Just last year, I ran into one of those staff members, and it was interesting. One of the first things she said to me is, "Do you remember that day you called us all in and all that money was on top of that table?" I tell you that story to lead up to this. In our Mindset Culture Survey, there are 3 items that we often find scored surprisingly low by employees who otherwise think their company is terrific. Here are the 3 items that we often find lower than we would want. Number 1, my company appreciates my work. Number 2, my company does a good job of recognizing employees who contribute to its success. And number 3, I'm often thanked for my work. If we want our employees to know we are proud of them, we need to be good at recognizing good performance and expressing appreciation. Now, you're going to run into some leaders who are going to tell you that all this positive feedback stuff is just silly. You aren't hired to be a cheerleader, and employees will see right through it. You can only overdo positive feedback if it is insincere. Those who say it doesn't work are flat out wrong. As long as you're genuine, it works. I want to share with you one statistical oddity that comes up in regard to this mindset from time to time, pointed out by 2 brilliant psychologists of the modern age, Amos Tversky and Daniel Kahneman. They explain a statistical phenomenon called regression to the mean and how it can mislead us so that we fail to appreciate the power of positive reinforcement, or in Mindset's terms, the power of the magic feedback ratio. But you will also have some staff members who will appear to not be open to new learning, but may in fact be able to be reached if you know how to use the right approach. There are 3 types of people who will appear to not be open to new learning, but they are very different in terms of why they are not open and how you need to work with them. The first type that will look not open to new learning is what we call an intellectual sloth. You see, having your employee go fix the problem has 2 big benefits. The public expression of regret and commitment to improve puts down a marker making it more likely that the poorly performing staff member will carry out the plan to improve. The second benefit of going to fix it is that it will start to repair the damage that is likely accrued to the offending employee's image and reputation. Now, let me add a little warning. You may run into a staff member who will be hesitant to take this step out of concern about embarrassment. Let's call him Bob. Ask Bob to do this mental game with you. MindSet expects a lot from those in leadership positions, as we should. But good leaders deserve to have their efforts reciprocated by staff members. I believe the pattern I mentioned in the example just a minute ago, where you see a supervisor working harder to make a staff member successful than that staff member is working to please their supervisor, should never be left unaddressed. Reflect to see if you have any of those situations going on right now with an employee. If so, the only decision you should have to make is who will be the most impactful person to deliver the wake-up message. This mindset technique is called Goodbye to Option B, and it can be effective for you as a leader and helpful to the employee. I think this technique is probably best taught by having you listen in on how I have used this approach. Let's say Dave is the employee, and for this example, I will keep the performance issue vague, but it's one that results from a lack of effort and an issue we have addressed previously on 3 occasions, twice informally and the last time when I wrote it up for the personnel file. I would ask Dave to come to my office, ideally late in the day before he was leaving to go home. And this is what you would hear. Some of the brightest people in the world, from chess grandmasters to billionaire business moguls to Nobel Prize laureates, have spent entire lifetimes refining and documenting the ideas and processes they find useful in enabling them to make more effective decisions. In this section, we'll benefit from ideas borrowed from such intellectual titans. It's likely you're going to agree with what I'm going to tell you. And then, if you're like 95% of us, you will go out next week and screw it up by failing to use this technique. So you've been warned. Here's the insight that I would really encourage you to discipline yourself enough to use regularly. MindSet calls it, why do you ask? I want to repeat that. Before making a decision of some import, it is his practice to be able to better argue against his own position than the smartest person who holds the opposing view. This makes so much sense. So make it a practice to ask, okay, tell me why I should say no to your idea or request. This argue the other side mindset will help you to determine if the party bringing you the request or idea is coming to you as an advocate or as a reasoned, rational thinker. Argument and challenge are gifts, or at least they can be. Now, what you should be on the lookout for and have no tolerance for is a staff member who converts intellectual conflict into personal conflict. Such staff members are toxic to the intellectual vitality of your company. Their penchant to take disagreements personally will stifle brainstorming, creativity, and open communication. Human relationships can become cluttered with unspoken issues, a clutter born of a lingering negative emotion, often fear, anger, or hurt, felt by one or both of the parties. Now, although both parties often know, or at least sense, that the relationship is not where it should be, or less than it once was, neither finds the courage to speak openly of the unspeakable, that is, how they are feeling. I would challenge you, both at work and in your personal life, don't let unspeakables rot the foundation of your relationships. Find the courage to bring them out from under the table and put them on top of the table, where they can be addressed. I think you will find that great relationships are nourished by the breeze of openness. In the time of the Puritans, work and fun were often mutually exclusive concepts. The lasting scar is that many today still define work as the opposite of fun, a hugely dysfunctional mindset. Dwight Eisenhower wrote, "Laughter can relieve tension, soothe the pain of disappointment, and strengthen the spirit for the formidable tasks that always lie ahead." If that insight was good enough for the two-term President of the United States and the Supreme Commander of Allied forces in World War II, I suggest you take your cue from him and not from those leaders who stifle laughter and joy in others.